G'day, I'm Adam David Collings, and today I'm going to talk about my reading statistics from 2015. I got this idea from Nicole's Adventures in SFF. You'll find a link to her channel down there somewhere. And I thought, hey, I could do something like this, so I'm doing it. So I read 50 books in 2015, fairly wide selection there. So let's go through the statistics. So let's go through genre first. You can see here a breakdown of the genres I read. On the left here we've got writing and marketing books. So I read 5 of those. I've read 1 thriller, a couple of supernatural. I also read 1 superhero. So I read 20 science fiction. There were a few non-fiction which were not writing related. One of them was a parenting book and the other was a real life story. And there are 16 fantasy there. And I read 1 diesel punk. So yep, that's fairly kind of normal genre breakdown for me. Lots of speculative fiction. So let's look at the media. So you can see here that I read more than 50% on my Kindle. About a quarter of the books I read on paper, and we got 18% there on audio. I didn't do a huge amount of audio, a lot less than I'm probably going to do this year, because I got bogged down with a few audio books and I just kind of let them lie. It took me a while to finish them, but I've really got a bit more enthusiastic about audio in recent times, so I expect that we'll be probably closer to at least the quarter mark this year. But yeah, I'm obviously still really loving reading on my Kindle. I read a fair amount of paper books, almost a quarter. I was given a gift certificate for a local bookshop when I finished my job in April. And so I got a number of books with that, and that kind of launched me back into a bit of paper this year, or last year. Alright, so we'll look at book lengths. So just over 50% in novels, and then we've got 26.8% novellas, and 22% short stories. That's a lot more than I expected in the way of short stories. I did read quite a few little things on my Kindle as kind of just a little bit of relief in between some of the bigger, chunkier books. Now, the longest book of all that I read in 2015 was this fella. This is Limit by Frank Schaitzing, and man, check it out. And this was... there's not even like heaps of stuff at the back. It's literally finishes right here. No, that is a... okay, I'm wrong, that is a character list. So yeah, 1,135 pages. Definitely the longest book I've ever read in my life. And yeah, I'm pretty proud that I got through such a chunky brick. I did kind of take a bit of a break in the middle and read some stuff on my Kindle during the process, so it wasn't just a full read through with nothing else. Alright, let's talk about publishing type. So yeah, I thought this was quite interesting. So I read 56% indie books and 44% traditionally published. So yeah, I'm definitely reading a lot of the self-published stuff these days. Yeah, a lot of that is obviously on the Kindle because it's pretty much the only way you can get a lot of it. This is one of the reasons why I love the Kindle, because it's opened up a whole world of other books that I'd never otherwise have access to. But yeah, I was surprised that it was more than 50% indie, so I thought that was really quite fascinating. Alright, let's talk about the spirituality aspect. So here I read 30% Christian fiction and 70% mainstream. I've included my non-fiction books in here as well. Yeah. Now, where I had a situation where the author happened to be a Christian, but they've written a book which is essentially a mainstream book for a wider audience, I've counted that as a mainstream book. So that's the spiritual aspect of my writing, of my reading. Now, I was going to do a graph on Australian books versus international, and I had a quick look through, and I found I actually only read one Australian book in 2015. I also read a New Zealand story, so counting as Australasian, I read 2. I'm deeply embarrassed about that. I really want to read more Australian books this year in 2016. And I've actually already read 2 Aussie books in January, so that's already off to a pretty good start. So that is what I've put together. Fairly short and sweet, but some interesting information. And I'll do this again in January 2016, so it'll be interesting to compare, and I'll possibly come up with a few other statistics. But yeah, that's what I've read in 2015. Let's see what I come up with this year. Catch you next time.